Hi, I'm Chris Nedza, Lead Entrepreneur in Residence of the Advanced Technology Development Center at Georgia Tech. We're the state of Georgia's technology incubator. Welcome to Season 1 of the ATDC podcast, Executive Bytes. We focus on the startup founders in our portfolio, what sparked them to launch their companies, the market problem they've solved, and even how they overcame the thoughts of quitting when times get rough. Enjoy. Well, welcome to this episode of Executive Bytes. I've got Brett Rogers from TendoNova. Did I get it right? TendoNova or TendoNova?
Yeah, TendoNova.
Okay, cool. TendoNova. Like, names are important. And, of course, I got David Hailey from Countifi. So, David, thanks for co-hosting.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
We're going to put one thing that's interesting about you is you're not only a co-founder, but you're an inventor.
Yeah.
So I love that. Like, typically we have people here like software developers, but you're a product guy. So you've like gone down the route. You must have graduated from a good engineering school. Did that happen?
Yeah, that did happen. I got a master's degree from Georgia Tech. That's actually where this product was born out of, was taking our master's degree thesis project and turning it into a real company.
That is tech, huh? So listen, I don't know if you noticed this.
I noticed.
We are, ATDC is a statewide incubator for Georgia, and so we represent all schools.
Absolutely.
But we have a special place for tech.
I was a Georgia fan growing up during the David Pollock, David Green era. Okay. So no hard feelings.
I couldn't get in there.
I'm from North Carolina, so I have no affiliation to Georgia schools.
You will.
You will.
You will. Yeah. So how did you guys come up with this idea? Like, what happened? And because TendoNova is you deal with chronic tendon pain, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a therapeutic treatment, a device that is used for debridement of soft tissue, primarily focused at the moment, our flagship device focused around treating chronic tendon pain.
Wait a minute, debridement of soft tissue. Mm-hmm. Debridement is a fancy word for...
It's jargon, yeah.
For what? What does that
Basically
do?
To break it down.
Break it down?
So what we're doing is... a chronic tendon injury is an injury where the body has made a couple attempts at healing it and has been unsuccessful, and so eventually it just gives up and says, hey, I've invested resources into this, it's not getting better, so I'm going to kind of wall it off, build scar tissue around it, maybe have some capillary beds being added to that area. But the debridement allows us to go in, break up that area, and give the body an opportunity to take up those resources and just lay down new, fresh tendon in that space.
So who's your typical user of this? Like an aging tennis player, maybe, or
that actually would be a pretty classic example. Is someone who maybe they played tennis when they were in high school, college, got a job, and is picking it back up as a hobby, 45, 50 years old, picks up an injury, tennis elbow, tries to play through it for a little while, and it's not getting better. Go through physical therapy, it's not responding to physical therapy. This gives a treatment path that avoids going in and doing open surgery.
Well, what was your degree in? Because it seems like you have to have a pretty detailed medical background.
Yeah.
There's no medical school at Georgia Tech, so
there's not, but I was part of the biomedical engineering program. So right in that middle area of exactly as you described, very interested in the body, very interested in physiology, pathology, but loved the engineering side, loved the math and the science and design work. You're right, I'm an inventor by heart, and it's cool when you hit on something that you can invent a technology coming out of school for academic, and it was. We were doing our thesis project as part of the MBID program, our Masters of Biomedical Innovation Development program at Georgia Tech, and people responded to it.
Yeah.
We would show it to docs, and docs would be like, this is great, when are we going to get it?
So I'm looking at that thing on the table. Pick that up for a second.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking at the one that's got looks like a needle.
like a needle in it.
Yeah, like I'm hitting the road.
Yeah.
Is that a needle?
It is a tool. We don't refer to it as a needle, but it's a specialized tool that has a cannula on the outside that gives you basically a path.
Cannula, okay.
It is certainly sharp and it is pointy, but yeah, it has a cannula on the outside, and then on the inside it has an oscillating tool that goes back and forth and actually chews up the tendon. and it is pretty gnarly. It'll do a number,
So
but it's targeted.
What was the treatment before this? Like, how are doctors treating it before your technology came out?
I mean, essentially, it's a combination of physical therapy, which you have an injury, you go to physical therapy. They try to work the area, move it, try to break down the scar tissue through basically mechanical means. And some people respond just fine to physical therapy. In many ways, it's the first line of defense. If you're not responsive to physical therapy, then it's either live with it, meaning you're living with the chronic pain forever. Maybe that means you're giving up a hobby that you really love, or in cases of workers' comp, with repetitive motion injuries, this is very similar, right? You may have a quality of life that goes down. The treatment path was doing either open surgery, so going in, opening up the area and just debriding it by hand, or at the time, people were just using syringe needles and going in under ultrasound guidance and poking around by hand.
Oh, that sounds pretty brutal. It's like a blunt instrument for sure. So what was the path that you came up with the idea, you guys tested it? Is there an FDA approval process that you had to go through, or you've gone through, or where are you now?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't ever want to have that, but I'm feeling it. I might.
Yeah, it's good that it's out there, right? But yeah, I mean, absolutely. We did 510K path, so went through the FDA, got approval. It's been on the market for a couple years now, and we're selling it. I mean, it's great.
All right, let's turn up the heat a little bit. Give me some ahas as being a co-founder. So I'm going to change gears a little bit. Like, has it been just, unicorns and
daisies
daisies every
and money
day?
falling out of the sky?
That's it, for sure.
Are you like most co-founders? You work half days. You can pick which half, kind of thing. Or like, what was
always
that like?
the bottom half.
It's always the bottom half. No, absolutely. I think that's the universal experience, right? Being a co-founder is it's a tough gig. It is. You have to face a lot of challenges. Money does not fall out of the sky. I don't know anybody that's gone through a startup trying to get funding that hasn't been turned down many times, probably more times than you've had somebody say yes. Yeah. And that's tough when you feel really passionate about the product or the idea that you have and you think it's good, you're behind it, and then people don't respond to it.
So take me back to that journey. Did you graduate, got your diploma, start a company, or did you go out there in the private sector and then somehow lose your mind and decide to go for broke, as they say?
So there was a group of us that were going through our master's program together. So Shauna, Luca, Jonathan, and I, we were a group, again, within the MBID program. And this was our thesis. We were just designing something. The program is about finding an unmet need in the medical device space, designing a solution to it, testing it, and doing some academic work around building a regulatory path and whatnot. But when we started showing prototypes to people and they were responding to it, it clicked into, this is real. This is not just, a senior design project on steroids. This is really something that could have legs.
So you literally went from school to
doing
like
this.
A co-founder.
He's like,
I mean, we
that is awesome.
We made the decision while we were in school that this was real and we wanted to do it, and we started laying the groundwork to form a company coming out. Now we all went into private sector.
Oh, you did. Okay.
We had to pay the bills, especially coming out of a fairly expensive master's degree program.
So this was like a side hustle.
This was the nights and weekends.
This is the half day that I was talking about.
Yeah, the half day that occurs between about 8 o'clock at night and 3 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But who had the problem? Like, obviously you're solving a tendon, a medical issue.
Yeah, you mean like one of the co-founders?
Yeah, one of the co-founders had like tennis elbow or a bad knee, or like who was like, we need to focus on this.
That's a great question.
That's a good question.
Yeah. So Jonathan Shaw, who is one of the co-founders, he was a physical therapist. So he was transitioning from physical therapy, looking to get into the medical device industry. And so he experienced these patients that he would see for weeks, months, that at a certain point, he knew there was nothing I could do.
Yeah.
I've done everything that I can. He will tell you he was a great physical therapist. He was good at his
not biased
job.
at all.
He's not biased
He's
at
a
all.
great physical therapist, but nothing. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
No,
right.
but he's got a great reputation, really plugged in. But there's just people, he couldn't do anything.
Right.
And so these patients, and it kills you because you form a personal connection with these patients. And when you can't do something to help them, and you know that the outcome is sending them out for an invasive surgery or telling them like, hey, I'm sorry, like, it's just going to hurt for the rest of your life. That's really tough. So he was really passionate about it. But we looked at multiple ideas. This was the one that bubbled to the top.
One question about, so there's 4 co-founders.
Yeah, here we go.
Right. So as a person, and
Are they still the same?
And I should say, I
co-founders?
want to give, there's a clinician within Emory, Dr. Kenneth Mountner. He is a co-founder. So, and he is an inventor. So there is 5 of us. So there's a clinician, and then there's the 4, engineers, if you will, that were going through the program.
That makes it even better. So there's 5 co-founders, right?
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the complexity. When I first started this company, I had a co-founder. We are no longer together.
Yeah.
And so, can you talk a little bit about the complexity about managing everybody's personalities, managing everybody's skill sets, managing everybody's just the environment with 4 to 5 co-founders?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for sure. I think the best advice I would give, or I think the thing that I learned the most, is just make sure you're on the same page. Ultimately, if you're working towards the same goal,
done, right?
Yeah, how do you do that?
For sure,
Exactly.
For sure.
You're right, man. Okay, that does sound easy. How do you do that?
It's open communication.
Because you're gonna have conflict.
Gonna have
There's no way.
disagreements.
Yeah.
People gonna get pissed off. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, we've had discussions early on about what's the minimum viable product. And, we would be on different ends of the spectrum where you have whole features that someone feels is a minimum viable and someone else doesn't. That's hard to reconcile. But I think it's open communication. I think it helps in our case. We were friends first. We were going through the program together. This came out of the program, but we had an established relationship.
You'd already together for a couple years by that point. Right?
Certainly
but I know a lot of people that do that. They have friends that start, but then
sometimes it's good, sometimes bad.
But usually the thing that I've seen happen, and maybe I don't know if it happened to you guys or whatever, but it's money gets tight, and in my case, Mama said, "Get a job.
Right.
You better make some money."
Right.
Have you guys had to face that? Or it's like,
Yeah, I think.
And this is one of those questions we can edit out if you want to, but as a listener to this, I mean, that's part of what we do is like sharing these real world experiences. It's no joke, man. It's hard.
It's not, and I mean, along the way, as you're adding people to the team, you're going from your core team to, now you're bringing in a chairman of the board. Now you're bringing in, maybe you're bringing in an investor who wants a seat on the board, and all those opinions start to become, part of the soup, right?
Yeah.
And in the beginning, you were it, and now it's
Mm-hmm.
another person. But it's again, I think it's just open communication. It is not going to be sunshine and rainbows and unicorns every day. Mm-hmm. It's not. You're going to have disagreements. You're going to have challenges. There have been some rough phone calls that the founders have had together, but ultimately, I think what has kept us moving is there's a path that where we're trying to get to.
Yeah.
We have a common endpoint that we're all trying to work towards. We may have disagreements about how to get there. We may have disagreements about, the quality of work that somebody is doing on any given point in time. But we're working towards a common goal.
So is there one person that is like typically the CEO that says, okay, we got everybody disagrees. I'm the tiebreaker. This is the way we're going to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how does that go? Has that ever happened?
He wants some drama.
Absolutely.
There's no way there's not drama.
That is laying down the law.
I got drama with one person startup. It's just in my head,
Exactly.
And I mean, we've all had those internal disagreements for sure. But you form, we formed a board. It was a majority vote. If
Awesome.
3 people said something and 2 people disagreed, you voted, and I've been on the losing end of a vote where I said I didn't agree with this, but it's okay.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
I'm not a majority. If I'm not in the majority, we move on.
All right. I'm gonna ask you one more question related to this, and it's my kind of your gotcha question. have you ever wanted to quit? And if you have, and you haven't quit, obviously, what do you do to get past that? What have you done?
Oh man, yes. I mean, of course, there have been 3 o'clock in the morning working on something, beating your head against it, knowing that you got to go to your day job in 5 hours, and yes, you absolutely are like, what am I doing with my life right now? And it takes a toll on not just yourself. I mean, I have a wife, I have a family that, like, sometimes they take a toll.
They do. I think that's so true. People don't realize that it's not just you. There's a whole bunch of people around you, typically your family.
Environment.
Yeah,
there's body bags, wounded people all over the place.
There is, and I think that's, to answer your question, why do I keep doing it, or what kept me going? It is, you have that support group that says, we're with you. My parents, my family, my wife, my friends, even colleagues I've had at my day job who don't have anything to do with the startup, or my former day job. I'm now full time with the startup. Thankfully, I love that.
Right.
Love that we've gotten to this point. That we're supportive, and that's huge. It's just having that support. But I think what really hit home for me was. We had a patient give a testimonial who talked about the impact that this had on her life. Went from not being able to pick up her grandchildren to now being able to pick up their grandchildren. That kills you, right?
Oh,
you're like, okay, I get it now. If I can once a year.
You're an engineer and you've got a heart. I just love that.
You could. Some people question if I have that all the time, but yes. But that's what it's about, man. When you have those, I call them wins, but when you have that, you're like, okay, I'm back. I'm juiced. I'm doing this. I'm 100% committed, and that's what it's all about. I think that's one of the beautiful things about working in medical devices. I could have done a lot of other engineering stuff that maybe it'd have different outcome, but working in medical devices, ultimately you're improving the lives of people.
You've got this great product. I would say that there's you should never have a one-trick pony, because somebody will knock it off and you'll be out. You guys have other things on the horizon or on the drawing board, or where are you guys going from here?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is our flagship product, but the intent is that this is a platform that we're building off of. So the reusable unit, the reusable drive unit that we call it, the idea is to create different tools that snap onto that, very similar to like a Dremel, where you can do different procedures, different cutting, different debridement, or things along those lines, but very targeted. We have some stuff in the pipeline we're very excited about.
And your target customer, like, who are you selling to?
We like the orthopedic space, but there's other opportunities in cosmetics or plastic surgery as well. But we like that bringing something that traditionally is done in an OR, an ambulatory surgical suite, and trying to move that in office.
It is like, so who's the customer on that? Who are you selling to? Is it doctor practices, orthopedics? You sort of said that, but is this also something that med spa kind of will eventually get to, or physical therapists, or how far wide are you going to be able to go, do you think?
It traditionally falls in the space of sports medicine doctors, physiatrists, but we definitely have some orthopedic surgeons that are using it. So we have orthopedic surgeons that are doing it in between surgeries. So when they're doing their major surgeries, they key up rooms where they can pop in, do this 15-minute procedure while the big ORs. So
there's no anesthesia or anything that goes on. Like, you just
it's all local, yeah. So it's just lidocaine block. Yeah.
Man,
awesome.
I love it, and just Brett, thank you for being my guest today. Golly, I love what you're doing. I've been watching your company, and you guys are really taking off. I just wish you the very best, not only for financial abundance, but you're helping people, and
that's awesome. Because hardware is hard. Hardware is hard.
And David, thank you for co-hosting with me.
It's all good, man. I'm glad I was able to.
And we're gonna get you in the hot seat
I'll be there soon, I'm sure.
too. So anyway, guys, thanks a ton, and we'll check you later.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the ATDC podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, and share or connect wherever you get your podcasts. Please be sure to follow us on social media. Our handle is @ATDC on X, LinkedIn, and Instagram.